On February 2nd, 2023, Apple released its contribution to the mixed reality headset market, the Vision Pro, as a spatial computing device. As figures came in on the Apple Store visits and sales, plus the early reviews on YouTube and elsewhere, I'm sure that Tim Cook was kept abreast of them. I can only imagine the dream that he had that night, thinking about the company which initially used a drawing of Sir Isaac Newton as its logo.
Have I brought trouble to the grove?
Immediately, I'm like, Jesus, this is a heavy headset.
Yeah.
This thing is heavy. I've had it on for 12 seconds. This is very heavy. Okay, let's get into it.
I think it's going to take Apple a while to figure out how they want the average person to view this device and how they want to use it.
We don't have a good vision on where this thing is headed.
The goggles, oh my gosh. Apple would kill me if they heard me call the Vision Pro goggles.
My take that no one cares about Vision Pro.
Limited software at launch could once again become a speed bump for Apple with Vision Pro's debut.
They don't know what this device is going to turn into. It's the first gen product. They're just hoping that third-party developers treat it in the same way that they treated the iPhone.
You know, I am a complete Vision Pro skeptic. I call it Tim Cook's folly. I think it's nuts.
Or is this the dawn of a new reality?
Hello and welcome to the Tech iHound. I'm your host, Don Bullock. I created this channel to help you by sniffing out news and information about Apple devices and related technologies that I use here in my studio. Without a doubt, the Vision Pro is a remarkable technical achievement. Here we are 1 year later after it reached the hands of consumers. How did we get to this point, and what's the current state of the Vision Pro? Prior to its launch day, the press and those influencers blessed by Apple to get a controlled preview at Apple Park went wild over the Vision Pro. Articles appeared almost everywhere. The internet blew up with videos from those who either got to try it or were excited that the Vision Pro was coming. Marques Brownlee stated the video on the Vision Pro had 22.9 million views the first week that it was on YouTube, and in the last 300 days, it's only had approximately 1 million views. Oh, and there were skeptics too. Some thought Apple had lost their way. It was amazing how widespread the articles and news reports were. Apple marketing went all out to make sure that many people as possible knew the Vision Pro was coming. With the 8 months of hype, many years of leaks and anticipation, on launch day, February 2nd, 2024, while the flagship store where Tim Cook greeted the crowd, there were a lot of people in line. That wasn't the case at most Apple stores. Starting the following Monday of Apple Store reservations for Vision Pro went unclaimed. Needless to say, sales weren't brisk. It's true that pre-sales of Vision Pros were back-ordered to about the end of March, but orders in the store were perhaps still available the week of the launch, even in the most populous cities. In most places, people were able to just walk into almost any Apple store and get a demonstration with little or no wait. Some reports claim that any order backlogs were caused by slow production due to the complex production of the 4K OLED microdisplays, not excessive sales. Apple never shares sales numbers, but those monitoring the supply chain reported poor sales of the Vision Pro. For many, plunking down $3,500 for a device that they weren't sure of was just too much to ask. So how all this fit into Apple's predictions and plans, we'll never know, unless someone in the future, like Tim Cook or someone else at Apple, tells us. Based on what we know after Apple's pre-launch plans and efforts, they were caught off guard. Little did Apple know at the time of launch that the term mixed reality, one they avoided consistently when talking about the Vision Pro, and instead insisted on using spatial computing, would be the best term for the Vision Pro today. Now, no, not mixed reality in what the Vision Pro produces, but how it's been accepted and implemented. The reality is that the acceptance of the device has been extremely mixed. While some people use the Vision Pro daily in their work, most who bought them haven't even seen them for months. They're either in a drawer or collecting dust on a shelf somewhere. Even those for whom the Vision Pro is useful use it in a wide variety of ways. Some doctors, for example, in hospitals have found the Vision Pro to be very useful and helpful in certain surgical procedures. It's been used in industrial job and flight attendant training by Lufthansa. NVIDIA has used it for their Omniverse for things like designing factories. Wicked director John M. Chu used the Vision Pro's infinite canvas to bring the Land of Oz to life as he directed the film. For some, it's a great way to view movies, sports, and other visual contact. I've even heard some that say they like doing FaceTime calls and meetings with the personas on the Vision Pro, especially when they came out with the second version of them. Still others, especially since the OS 2.1 update with a much wider Mac screen, have found the Vision Pro as a monitor for their Mac to be outstanding. It was interesting to watch a fairly recent Waveform podcast where they reflected on 2024. Unlike most of us, all of them have access to a Vision Pro. All except for one admitted they don't use the Vision Pro regularly, while Ellis uses it almost every day as a computer monitor. He loves being able to compute in Hawaii and likes the fact that he can isolate himself from the confusion that surrounds him. Ellis also thinks that the resolution of the computer screen far exceeds that of his regular monitor. I've heard others who have said similar things. What's clear after this first year of availability is that the use cases for the Apple Vision Pro remain mixed. It's become an amazing technological device with very poor implementation, even by technology enthusiasts. Developers have yet to create the killer app that has a widespread popularity and quality. Content to watch on the Vision Pro is lacking. As a result, sales for the Vision Pro are reported to be very poor, almost non-existent. There are even reports that Apple has ceased production on the Vision Pro. Also, reports on a second, possibly less expensive unit are mixed. Some say it's been canceled, while others claim it's still in the works. Some even speculated a new model might be similar to the Pro version that they already have, with similar technology and a similar price. To be fair, while Tim Cook has been associated with the Apple Vision project, it isn't a device conceived totally on Tim Cook's watch. Most people don't realize that the Apple Vision Pro project actually got started before the passing of Steve Jobs. According to Patently Apple, quote, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office officially granted Apple their original patent for a future virtual reality headset that could present users with 3D environments. The patent dates all the way back to 2007. The year the iPhone debuted. To a certain degree, Apple even envisioned a button that would adjust the user interface, just as the Vision Pro's digital crown does to summon the home view UI and to control immersion levels on the environment. End quote. I have a link to their report in the description. This patent was made by Apple way before the Oculus headset or anything from Samsung were announced. Steve Jobs even talked about such a device at the D3 conference in 2005.
An idea in areas of video, for example, something you talked about on stage last year.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. You've said on the stage that you didn't think video in a small device like that made sense.
You're always fighting. Things that are opposed to each other. Music players want to fit in your pocket, and you have to pick one and optimize for it. And the second thing you do will certainly be suboptimal. Maybe you can do it, but it's suboptimal.
All right.
You know, the fundamental problem here is that headphones are a miraculous thing. You put on a pair of headphones and you get the same experience you get with a great pair of speakers, right? There's no such thing as headphones for video, right? There's not something I can carry with me that I can put on and it gives me the same experience I get when I'm watching my 50-inch plasma display at home. And until somebody invents that, you're going to have these opposing constraints.
Well, they have those huge goggles you can wear.
But they're lousy.
Notice that Steve said there's no such thing as headphones for video until someone invents that. Like many of you, I've seen parts of that clip. You may have seen it in other YouTube videos, but what they don't show is the interview that was referred to here by the hosts. Here's what the hosts were referring to.
Why aren't you in the business of sending video at the moment? Is it because
part of the hardest thing about coming up with new products is to figure out a really cool set of technologies that you can implement it with and make it easy, but also figuring out something that people want to do. We've all seen products that have come out that have been interesting but just fallen on their face because not enough people want to do them. We're not hearing that a lot of people want to take movies that they've bought or somehow gotten off the internet and put them on their television.
After studying many interviews, I've noticed that Steve Jobs often poo-pooed technologies that they eventually produced. How much development was done on this project prior to the passing of Steve Jobs, only Apple knows for sure, but he must have known something about it, at least to some extent. Before I go on, there's no doubt that the Vision Pro is an outstanding technological device. The screens alone are reported to be vastly superior to any similar device on the market today. Yes, there are still several competitors, like the Valve Index, the HTC Vive Pro 2, Pico 4 Ultra, Meta Quest 3, Microsoft HoloLens 2, and more, plus others, like the Android XR to be joining the ranks soon. Then, who knows what Meta's cooking up? For a company who claims they've given up on the metaverse, they keep introducing VR headsets. I also need to say that there's a lot of current attempts at reality glasses. There were a tremendous number of them in CES this year. Some were good and some I heard weren't all that great. So where are we with the Apple Vision Pro or a cheaper Apple Vision device? Is it, as Leo Laporte called it, Tim Cook's folly? Or will Apple be able to create a market for the Apple Vision Pro or the Apple Vision like it has with many other devices? As one who's followed Apple since the Apple II days, I think it's still too early to predict if the Vision OS device from Apple will follow the path of products like the Newton or actually take off like the recent Apple Watch did. What we do know is for Apple Vision products to take off, the price needs to be lower, and they need an app and content that compels people to use them instead of devices from somebody else. Or Apple needs to package their technology differently. There are rumors, leaks, and even hints from Tim Cook that Apple does plan to do exactly that, but how far they are along is still obscured by their usual secrecy that they're notorious for. Unlike companies like Meta that recently showed off their Orion reality glasses prototype, traditionally Apple has tried to keep all of their future projects secret. Even with Apple's secrecy, we do have some possible leaks of Apple's reality glasses. According to Tom's Guide, Apple is poised to introduce their glasses as soon as 2027. They are making their predictions based on leaks from people like Mark Gurman from Bloomberg, analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, and Samsung Securities. As for a price, they quoted John Prosser of Front Page Tech saying, quote, Apple glasses are due to be priced for $499 plus prescription fees. Breaking news. We have new breaking news just in from Mark Gurman at Bloomberg on January 31st, 2025. Apple scraps work on Mac-connected augmented reality glasses. In the article, Gurman states, quote, Apple Incorporated has canceled a project to build advanced augmented reality glasses. The company shuttered the program this week. The Mac-connected product performed poorly during reviews with executives. This has been a special news update. Now back to the video. And that, however, is just material for another video, maybe sometime in the future. Our subject here is Apple Vision OS devices and where they go from here. Many have speculated that the current Vision Pro was intended to be a high-priced experiment and developer's kit that Apple produced to see where this type of technology could go. Blackmagic, in conjunction with Apple, is attempting to fill one such gap. They just started taking pre-orders on a camera capable of creating 3D content for the Vision Pro units. The lack of that type of content has been a major problem for the Vision Pro. Alex Lindsay of 090.media, someone who's been working in 3D visual devices for many years, has predicted that once the camera gets in the hands of people who know how to produce 3D content, that there may be more demand for the Vision devices. I don't have that crystal ball telling me Apple Vision's future, but as someone who's experienced the beginning of what we called back then microcomputers that were expensive for what they did and expensive for their time, perhaps there's a future for this technology if prices come down like they did with personal computers, with greatly increased capabilities. For now, all we can do is wait and watch. It'll be interesting to see if the Blackmagic camera leads to an increase in 3D content for headsets like the Vision Pro, and if it does, will that help save these devices? Or has the Vision OS 2.1 beta with the wider Mac screen prompted more people to use the Vision Pro for Apple's intended use, a spatial computer? Or will there actually be some compelling games that need to be played on the Vision Pro? Or will someone finally develop that killer app for use on the Apple Vision Pro? Or will entertainment companies and sports leagues start producing content for the Vision Pro? Or the Apple Vision devices die and emerge in future devices as technology advances like the Newton did? Have you found a use for the Vision Pro? What's your prediction for Apple's Vision? Let me know in the comments below. I realize this is different than many other content. I have some other videos you might be interested in over here. Please give this video that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate your support. Remember, this channel is fully supported by me. I don't have any sponsors and I don't get any free things. Thank you very much for watching.